Ladies and gentlemen, we're interrupting our Darth Revan week broadcast to talk about the ongoing Zeta Finn discussion. Now, if you guys have been following the story, since December, we were told that they were going to be fixing the Finn Zeta leadership and his kit because he caused a Phase 3 loop when C-3PO was added to the game. And then in February, we got the first draft of the Finn rework, and there were some good things and bad things, and I talked about them, and I said it looked like it still should be good for the raid, and indeed it was. They came back later on saying that their first draft of the rework caused a lot of problems in Phase 1. So now we have a final revision for the Finn rework, and they're even saying they're going to refund the materials since they believe these changes affect the core identity of Finn. I know there's a lot of complaints before because originally they weren't going to refund the Zeta with the first draft of the rework, and now they are. It's a good call on them. But before we actually read these changes, I don't want to hurt your guys' feelings that much, but I just want to show you real quick what Finn Zeta can currently do up against the shiny Darth Revan. So we're going to go up against Skelterix's team, which, by the way, my goodness, this guy has some crazy mods on his team. He's got 312 speed there, and then Revan himself has some crazy speed as well. So this is like a king modded Darth Revan, and I'm going to take in my Finn team that's got some okay mods, nothing crazy like that. So let's go in here and show you what this team can do before the rework. So check this out. This actually worked up against Jedi Knight Revan, if you didn't hear about it. And this team as well is actually known for soloing the heroic AAT raid on auto, all because of C-3PO allowing these rebels to apply expose on their basic, and Chewbacca always assisting Resistance Trooper and Han Solo. It's almost a foolproof strategy. Let's get some exposes over here. All right, let's call everyone over here to assist. We're going to call Han Solo to assist, so that way he can apply a couple of exposes. That's looking pretty good. Let's start getting some exposes on HK-47. Why not? Look at all this crazy stuff right now. Oh, my goodness. It's funny how this team, this is what I'm going to be missing. The Finn Zeta has done so many wonders for this game. I recommended Finn left and right, up and down for such a long period of time in Galaxy of Heroes. It's just done some crazy stuff. I mean, now basically the match is over. We're gonna look at we're hitting these exposes. Let's hit those exposes, and it's pretty much done. This is what we're going to be missing, ladies and gentlemen. We can't have Finn and his little tricks take out two of the most paywall characters of all time, both Revans, solo the AAT raid, as well as do some crazy stuff in Phase 3. So I kind of want to preface our conversation today with this right here, and how this okay modded Finn team went up against a god tier Darth Revan team and acted like it was nothing. It didn't even break a sweat. So with that right there, hopefully you guys aren't going to be too sad. I know that's probably not the best way to start a video with some bad news. The good news is we're getting our Zeta back at least, and for people who are getting Darth Revan or who want to take advantage of the Bastler HK-47 rework, I know I'm personally going to take that Zeta from this refund and put it probably towards HK-47 because that guy is an absolute monster. So basically, as I summarized right here, Phase 3 was broken because of Finn and C-3PO, and then the first draft of the rework caused problems in Phase 1. So all these changes are going to happen. They're going to give us a Zeta back as a result because they changed the core identity. So here we go. Here are the changes, and these changes are referring to this right here, which is changes to the original kit. So it's pretty much the kit has a lot of similar stuff, but they capped a lot of things, because if you look before, for example, the basic ability, there's not a cap, and it kept increasing by 20% damage every single time this would attack someone, and now they're putting a cap on it. For example, the basic crack shot, you're going to deal physical damage to a target enemy, and this attack deals 10% more damage for each time the target has been struck by it, with the cap of 100%. And as they say, they basically, the changes that they lowered the scaling damage down from 20, and then they capped it to 100%. So right here, I'm guessing one of the problems of Phase 1 is that Finn's damage was probably going through the roof under probably like a Jedi Training Ray team or something, because Jedi Training Ray is kind of the queen for Phase 1. So I'm guessing without the cap, Finn was just doing some crazy stuff and putting some bonkers numbers on the board, and they don't want that to happen. I mean, personally, you know what? We'll save my thoughts on what I think maybe they should have taken, the route they should have taken for this Finn rework and all that. Can I help you? You miss Finn? Up. Oh, she even misses Finn. All right. Now hold the line's the first special ability, and they kind of drastically changes, and this ability is better than the original kit of Finn. As I said in the previous video, nothing changed here when you look at the draft number 1 and draft number 2. It's basically the same. All resistance allies are going to recover 20% health and protection, and Finn gains advantage defensive, taunt, and determination for 2 turns, and dispels all debuffs from all allies. And then determination says whenever any other resistance ally falls below 50% health, determination expires and Finn taunts for 2 turns, and if that ally was taunting, it is dispelled, and when determination expires, Finn gains retribution. And the cool thing about retribution before they did all these draft 2 changes is that if Finn is counterattacking, he's gonna jack up his basic damage crazy high. Now it's gonna get capped quite quickly, so not as exciting. This is still the same. It is better technically than his original ability, but when you take the kit in its entirety, it's definitely starting to look more like a nerf than before, it seems. And then special 2, they kind of did the same type of treatment. They're capping the damage. Basically, they don't want the damage to go unchecked and go crazy high, and they took out the the double damage against the raid bosses. So I'm guessing it's very much so is probably Finn is doing some bonkers damage. Final text says deal physical damage to a target enemy, expose them for 2 turns, and stun them for 1 turn. And this attack deals 50% more damage for each time the target has been struck by it, max of 500%. So it's still a good cap. It's still 500%. That is crazy high to get to, but you're not going to get to like 1 billion%. So they definitely capped it. So the potential is probably not going to be nearly as much for those long phase 1 runs that we were probably hoping for. And as I said, they lowered the scaling down from 60% to 50% more damage per hit. And then they capped the amount over to 500%. And this right here, that was the big guy. So this right here, this clause right here made me think, all right, Finn's going to still be really good before because of the extra raid damage he was going to do. Now they took it out. So this ability is not nearly as interesting as before, unfortunately, it seems like. And then the leadership ability, which it sounds like they struck a compromise between capping the damage and making his leadership better than the draft one. Let's read it together, and I think it might be just a definition interpretation going on here. I'm going to wait to see when this comes out and do some testing beforehand. But resistance allies have plus 60% defense, offense, and potency, and all other allies have half that amount. So a good, decent leadership, a good catch-all leadership right there. And here's where the things change. Let's read what they did first. If an enemy is damaged by a resistance ally, for each expose on them, the key word right there, each expose on them, that enemy loses 5% turn meter for each resistance ally, and then all resistance allies gain 3% turn meter for each resistance ally, and their cooldowns are reduced by 1. And the changes were to the Zeta triggering each instance of expose on an enemy. So I guess this just to show you what really changed. It's just a terminology difference right here. Before the phrase started, each time they damage an exposed enemy, versus now it says each instant of expose on an enemy. Yeah, for each expose on the enemy. So I'm guessing what that means is that if there are 3 exposes on a single enemy, when you hit that expose, all 3 exposes are triggered, which leads to you triggering these bonuses right here 3 times, for example, or however many exposes were on that particular enemy. And if that's the case, you're gonna get 3 times as much turn meter gain for their ally and turn meter removal. I'm sorry, other way around. Each time you're hitting each of those exposes, you're going to get individual instances of turn meter loss for the enemy and then turn meter gain for your resistance allies. So it looks like they made this leadership better than draft 1. It's not as good as the original leadership ability, which I just showed, just plowed over a very good Darth Revan team. So this is where they kind of improve things a little bit. They kind of make up for all these cap damage things that they have going on here. So I don't know. Again, I'm going to pass the ball over to you guys for this moment. There's a card in the top right-hand corner. Click on it. Let me know if you think this is a nerf or a buff. I personally think now we're entering nerf territory, and it's awesome that they're at least going to refund the Zeta, because right now there's so many other better things in the game. We're going to have to test out Finn extensively to see if there's anything good about it after the rework. But what I'm thinking is going to happen is that Finn is still going to be decent. He's probably going to be like a first order Kylo Ren team. So I think Finn will still be good, but to get the most out of him, you're going to need maxed out resistance characters, kind of like first order. You need Gear 12 first order to really get the best out of them. So, and they might still be okay for the raids. Maybe they'll get kind of like first order type of damage. First order is decent for the Sith raid, so they'll probably still be good, but I don't expect solos for Finn in the AAT raid, and don't expect probably loops, but Finn might be still a good character to use for Jedi training raid. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. The other thought I had, which might be the bit pessimistic route, I suppose, but it's a thought that kind of put out there. When C-3PO came out, as I said, Finn became a really great counter to Jedi Knight Revan. And, you know, now that Darth Revan's in the game, you guys saw the results. I was able to easily take out another Revan that came into the game with Finn and C-3PO. So what I'm thinking is that maybe Revan had some sort of aspect in this consideration to rework Finn, because when they brought up the discussion of the Phase 3 loop, which is a legitimate concern, they said that one of their policies is no loops for the Sith raid at this time. So they could have went down a few routes. They could have reworked the raid, reworked C-3PO, or reworked Finn, and they went down the route of reworking Finn. I think maybe they just should have played around with the mechanics a bit of the Sith raid. We have so many great teams to take out the raids. It's not like it's the most difficult raid in the world anywhere. Maybe some changes to the Sith raid would have been the better route, but I'm thinking kind of like how Ness was a great counter to Revan and they had to nerf her. This is probably the better route to take, because you could say we're changing it solely because of the raid and not because of Revan, but I think probably there might be some secondary or third consideration to do the rework for Finn because of how great he is up against Jedi Revan and then Darth Revan. Just for the fun of it, let's go battle this Darth Revan team one more time so we can savor the pre-reworked Finn. So this is this is definitely going to be the first rework in a while where the character didn't really improve. It's gonna get knocked back a little bit, but in exchange, they are still upgrading some of the other abilities, but it's not going to be nearly as much as even the draft one of the rework. I don't know. Let's just do this. I mean, this is just so fun. It's kind of a lot of fun to see how this lineup kind of works. Boom! Look at all these exposes. Another expose. Boom! Let's go to HK-47. Let's get exposed. Chewbacca falls up. Exposed. Chewbacca falls up. Look at this. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and I'm going to miss this, because the cool thing about Finn, one thing I loved about Finn, absolutely loved, is that he was the poor man Zeta. He did some crazy things for low gear resistance characters, and that's just not going to be the case anymore, because you're going to need geared up characters, and you're not going to get as much crazy turn meter gain that we could see right now. But again, we're going to have to kind of wait and see how you... we're going to interpret each instance of expose for each expose on an enemy. So we'll see. But that's pretty much it. Enjoy this while you can, guys. It looks like this rework's going to come out soon. It's basically final, and I don't know if we're going to expect Finn to take on Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan with absolute ease, as we're seeing right now. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Comment down below on all your thoughts of this glorious pre-reworked Finn, or the kit of the reworked kit, so we can kind of have a discussion down below and kind of start theory crafting on how this might be good once it's rolled into the game. Subscribe, guys. Let's talk more later on. See you guys. Peace. Great outro.
Party Richter, down. Party Richter, son of a bitch. Party Richter, down.